Testing, 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 testing. Okay. This appears to be working. Let's get rid of the source code volume. Do not want that. Okay, and then I guess I don't know, it's going to be hard for me to do anything vertical, isn't it? Let's just center. Transform. Center to screen. Okay, so this is the center. I'll try to keep everything in the center. I'll try to do vertical. Okay. I'm gonna get rid of subtitles actually for now. Okie dokie Dutch. And then I need my documents. Restream. Alright, stream is working. Make sure everything's recording. Everything is recording. So we should be good to go here. Alright. So this is my review of Triplo AI. It's an application you can find on AppSumo. And I just decided to I got the inspiration. Well, hold on. My name is Chris. Oops, that's a shaky. My name is Chris. I am a tech lead engineer at a Fortune 50 company. I have been working with enterprise level software engineering teams for the better part of 5 years. And I have worked in Fortune 500 up to Fortune 50 enterprise, some late stage startups that you might have heard of, and also have done my own app development on the side. And actually that's how I started before I got into enterprise. And so with all this experience, I thought it'd be really useful to do reviews on other people's applications, just taking everything I've learned from working on product teams, on user experience, front end, back end, responsiveness, and also working on back end functionality, all of these different things and roles I've had my hands in different levels of the software engineering spectrum and in many different teams. I've probably worked in at least 10 different teams by this point, and I've led projects. I've been led on projects, and I've designed things. I've developed front, back, all of it. So these are my reviews. This is a series I'm doing of reviews on other people's software that they have on AppSumo, and just going one by one on things that I think seem interesting and giving my thoughts, some feedback, things I like and don't like, and hopefully you get some value out of it. Hopefully you get value out of it so that you know what mistakes to avoid when making your own software, or these folks that make these different apps, they get some really good feedback as well. So we'll start here with Triplo AI. Really, really nice landing page. The way I'm gonna structure this is I'm gonna go with initial impressions, onboarding experience, actually using the product, and then power user features and how that works with new users being able to do primary functionalities, and then also how the power user functionalities are integrated and how accessible they are, and how much do they complicate the entire application as a whole and the primary use case. So initial impressions with the landing page. That's going to be the first thing that you need to get somebody to even want to think about downloading or even trying what you've created. The only AI assistant you'll ever need. the only AI assistant you'll ever need. Boost your productivity now. Ask anything, generate, enhance, review, and refine content anywhere on your desktop or mobile. Okay, so this is not bad. The I'll give you some context of my thoughts here, but it doesn't really communicate the problem that's being solved. The only AI assistant I'll ever need, it just sounds like maybe you have a specific agent that does everything, or it doesn't really tell me what the problem it's solving is. So boost my productivity, that's kind of a buzzword. There's no problem statement. There's no, you have this problem, this is the solution. Ask anything, generate enhanced review content anywhere on your desktop or mobile. So, like, that's great, but I could also do that on a browser. So I can I can use ChatGPT or Claude or any of these from on my desktop or mobile as well. So I'm not really seeing a very specific problem statement, solution statement. And also, when I'm seeing this interface here, this looks interesting. It looks kind of like a drop-down menu of something, which I'll show you later. It is a drop-down menu, sort of. But from this image here, I'm not really getting what this is for. I just see like scrape web page HTML. That's kind of cool. I do have to kind of look into what these options are to sort of get an idea of what this thing does. But I mean, I'm going to use this phrase a lot. I have the attention span of a mosquito, and I think most users do. Most new users to your software will. So I don't really have a really specific, clear, like half a second explanation of what this thing actually does. I think it looks really pretty. I like the logo. I like the simplicity of it. I think if you had a GIF of what it actually does, like even like a 3-second GIF of, or 3 to 5 second GIF right here of what it does, and you'll see later what the functionality is. If it was on, like, if you see a web page in the background and then you can ask something about the web page or something like that, or you can even keep this. Like if you were just to shrink this window and have a web page in the back and then have the scrape web page HTML selected right there, that would actually much better communicate what the value proposition is. Native apps. I don't really know why I want native apps for all this stuff. Again, I don't really know what the problem is that's being solved. So what's the point of having a native app for this? I have no context here. Trusted by thousands around the world. These profile pictures look fake. These sometimes come out of the box when you're making a Shopify. With Shopify plugins, these profile pictures sometimes come out of the box, and you can use a faker for that. So that's not really building a lot of trust. What's unique about Triple AI? AI is not intelligent, you are. Still no problem statement. I don't know what that means. Triple AI empowers you to take control of artificial intelligence, enabling it to handle the heavy lifting while you enhance productivity. This is wonderful buzzwords, but still, yet again, I'm not really sure what problem this thing is solving for me. I just know that I can take control of AI and I can enhance my productivity, but that's already what I do with AI. So why is this different? Want to run open prompts, 300 predefined prompts? That's pretty good, but what is a predefined prompt and how does it work? What does it do for me? Like 300 plus predefined prompt, that's a solution statement, but I don't know what the problem is, and I don't know how it's actually solving the solution, how it's solving the problem. And I don't really, like, why would I want a predefined prompt? What does that do for me? What's the outcome of that? Want to access content from a website, video, and create on top of it. That is a key value proposition right there. That is very, very good, because it is a pain in the butt to try to copy website content and then paste it somewhere. Sometimes if you have like certain like Copilot type stuff. It's really heavy and it drains a lot of system resources, or it only works with certain kind of apps. So this is a huge, huge value proposition, but you still haven't defined the problem. Now, I had to define the problem myself, so I think something probably better would be like no uh, no more copy and paste from websites. The AI grabs content from websites automatically or something. I don't know. Want to use data from external sources through APIs in your prompts. That is really great. That is a really great value statement. But the thing is that that's a power user statement. And so as a new user, even a power user, like I'm a very experienced software engineer. I know what APIs are. I know how to use data from stuff with AI agents. I still don't really know what this means completely. I can't really picture how that's going to work in practice. So this doesn't really communicate a lot to me. Want to talk to AI instead of typing? That is an expected feature. So never add expected things. People already expect to be able to talk to it. You're trying to demonstrate why what you do is very specifically useful for a very specific use case. And just adding in stuff that is already expected doesn't help. It's like, okay, whatever. This is like everything else. This is basically just the user will automatically think this is basically just, I might as well just use ChatGPT. Are you struggling with? Okay. So that's good. I didn't know I could grab it. I did that on accident. You could say that's intuitive, but you have to remember that customers, you have to like the reason Apple works so well is because a 5-year-old can use it. So I didn't know I could do this. The first time I actually came in to review this application, I didn't do that at all. I just sat here and watched it rotate and tried to catch all these different things and try to read through it. And I'm like, I can't read through all this when this is moving. So if you're gonna have something fancy like this, you gotta make it dumb. Communicate in another language. We support almost any language dialect. Easy to understand, be understood no matter who you are, who you're communicating with. Still, I don't get a very specific problem. Like AI, like any ChatGPT already does this, so I don't really get the specific problem you're solving. Let train curated content solve this for you with triple. This is a pain in the butt. To have to like pull my cursor off and then put it back on to be able to read, pain in the butt. These are too long. I have an attention span of a mosquito. I'm not going to sit here and wait for this to go and then go put my cursor back on, and that's just a pain. Create relevant content, save time. I'm really only going to read the headlines. Save time on a daily basis. Great. Save time on daily tasks. Great. How? We're here to solve this. No how. From drafting emails and crafting replies to engage in social media commentary, composing lengthy posts. That's great, but ChatGPT does that too. Seeking automation, we've got you covered. How? I already have something that does that because I looked specifically for something that did that when I had that problem. I already had that problem. I typed into Google, how do I automate this very specific thing with social media, and I already have something that does this. Create relevant content. Professional boasts. ChatGPT already does this. Repurpose content for the web. Simply add the URL for the prompt and its content will fuel the ChatGPT already does this. So yeah, no like very minimal, concise problem that we're solving. It's just a lot of nice, cool things that honestly ChatGPT, I was like, I might as well use Chat. By the time I've gotten here, I'm like, I can do this with ChatGPT. Why do I need a new thing? Triplest features that will improve your workflow. This is much better than this. I'm not gonna spend too much time. This landing page is too much. I'm already spent a lot of time on this web landing page, more time than any other user probably will. Again, attention span of a mosquito. I've already kind of like when I first was reviewing this, I think it took me like 15 minutes to get through this landing page. which is way too long. It's too many things. Voice interaction, that's expected. Custom smart prompts is very cool. I like that. But I can do that with ChatGPT, I'm pretty sure. Predefined AI prompts for immediate productivity gains, that's very useful. Real-time assistance, see, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Repositories, I can do that with ChatGPT. Wide range of models, that's good. User, so I would probably use real-time assistance, smart prompts, maybe knowledge bases, wide range of models, and API. And I would just single those out and expound upon those and not have these stuff that it's like, those are expected things from ChatGPT. This video is great. This is from AppSumo. People know AppSumo. People trust AppSumo. This video should be right here. Like, why? Like, seriously, why am I going through all this stuff? It's just like, great. It's a lot of reading. It takes a lot of time. If I see this video from AppSumo, which I already know and I trust because they have, it's really good social credit because they have a trusted name right here. I'm gonna click on that video and I'm gonna watch it, and then you can pretty much get rid of all of this because it's hopefully gonna cover it in the video, and then you would have the CTA. This is really cool. This is really cool. I like that there's like specific roles, and it tells me how it's going to serve me in my specific role, because that way I don't have to go through tons of content. So if you were able to somehow take these things and make them make the specific solution match the role here, that would save me tons of time, and I would understand why it's solving my problem specifically. So customer support agents, if you took like any even custom smart prompts, which I said you could leave out. If you had custom smart prompts and then in the customer support agents you're like always answering the same question in support, use a custom smart prompt. Boom. You defined a problem and curated a solution. And now I know why, for me as a customer support agent, I would want to use this over just using ChatGPT. Because, and if you had maybe the picture kind of show a picture that showed why it's so much simpler to use than something like ChatGPT, because you can do it with ChatGPT, but it is kind of a pain in the butt. I haven't even messed with that myself, and I use AI all the time. Okay. But this is good. Like, I really like the role specific areas. If you were to take everything else you did with laying out all these features and made it so that people could just go to their role and then see how those features solve for that specific role, then you're just saving everybody tons of time. Streamline your workday, desk on the go, empowers you. I don't know why I want a mobile app with this. It's ask anything, create, enhance, refine content anywhere. Like, how? Like, I don't really see. I just see like a ChatGPT type interface. I don't really know why I would want to have a mobile app with this right now. So I think I need examples, or I need a very specific use case for wanting to have this on my phone. I don't want to download more apps on my phone. And then you gotta really look for details like this. This prompt window being cut off like this, it's smelly. It smells amateur. You don't want to do that. You gotta make sure everything is really tight, and even the little details like that. No need for integrations. No more third-party integrations. Triplo AI is ready for any app you use right now. this is confusing to me because it says no more integrations, and all I see is a bunch of applications that have integrations. Um, so I don't really know what's trying to be communicated here. It's ready for any app you use right now. How does it work with any app that I use right now? Um, all I'm seeing is all these apps, and I'm like, do I have to configure all these apps, or no more third-party integrations? You just told me no more third-party integrations, but from what I'm used to doing is having a software and having to do keys and all kinds of stuff in order to work with the things I already use. So what does this mean? This is good. I like this review section. Really good. Um, yeah, I have nothing to say about this. This is a really good thing to have. Frequently asked questions. What is AAA? How it works? Uh, I don't like these very much, just because look how big that text is. I'm not gonna. It's a landing page. I'm not gonna spend the time to read all that. This I don't like that. I think you should have already answered my most important questions already in the rest of the thing. I guess if I want more details, but what would be kind of cool is if you had us like instead of this section, you had an automated AI bot that you train specifically to answer FAQs. So that way, if I can think of a question that maybe I don't have to go through all this text that I don't really care about, or like, hey, maybe this answers my question. Um, let me read this or whatever. I don't know. And maybe it doesn't actually. Like, see this big thing, like, or this big thing, like, how can triple AI help me increase productivity? I don't want to read all that. So having like a pre-trained um, bot right here, window right here, to answer questions, that would be really tight, especially for an AI company. That makes sense. Ready to elevate your productivity and enhance understanding for better responses. Inject context directly into prompts to get exactly what you need. I think it doesn't really. It's kind of tough because there's no real clear problem statement made. It's kind of all over the place, and so for this area should be for reiterating the problem statement, reiterating the solution, and then because of all the things you know, and you know it's definitely going to be of value to you, then you get started. All right, so we'll move on to the welcome. Okay. Okay, so hold on. So get started for free. So when I click get started for free, this is not great. It's another barrier. I understand the desire to want to capture an email and for remarketing and all that stuff, but what should happen is when you hit try for free, it should take you automatically to a login with Google, login with Facebook, Auth0 page, or if you want to do your own authorization, fine. If you're doing a startup, it's not really that smart to do your own authorization. It's too much effort, and it's not very user friendly unless you really invest into doing your own specific authorization. But it should have a really clear, nice looking sign in with Google. I think if we go to like slack.com, get started, boom. See that? First, enter your email or other options, sign in with Apple or Google. That's how you do it. But this one is like it wants me to give my name and my email and my operating system, and then it wants to send me. I'll let you know. It sends you like a welcome email with like the link to download for your specific operating system and everything. I get that Slack is a web app, but you should be able to just log in, and then it'll direct you straight to a page where you click for your operating system. It automatically downloads the executable, and then it automatically logs you in after you've done the sign up. It should automatically log you in to the application after you've ran the executable. That's difficult to do, but it's doable. And it's all about the user experience. Like Jeff Bezos said, one of the key things for success for Amazon is customer obsession. And so this is a big barrier. This is a place where I would be like, I don't want to get my email. I don't really know this application. I don't know this company. I don't really like. It's just Triplo Elbruz Technologies. What is that? So I can click on it. Beyond coding. I mean, everything looks pretty professional. This looks great, but I don't really know this company. I don't really want to give my email out, or I'll just give a trash email anyway. So this should be better. Okay, so once you do the executable and everything, it gives you this AI bot to walk you through setting it up. Okay, I type my name, Chris. So initially, I don't know why it's doing that. Initially, what I did is it said name and email. I typed in my name and email. I'll tell you. axmaster15@gmail.com. This is just a trash email that I have. Can I have your name and email? And then now your email. It did say type your name though, didn't it? I don't know. I got confused initially, but it just ended up calling me Chris15 at axmaster15@gmail.com. That might have been just my own stupidity, but your users are going to be just about as probably more stupid than me. So first things first, download the client. Fine, it's easy. Now you have AAA make sure it's running. Find it, yes. Try here, or is it not open right now? Hold on. Okay, it's right here. Trial, okay. That tool. This isn't all the way a bad idea. It's not bad. But here's the thing. So this is a problem that I ran into. It's a pretty minor problem, but this is out of order. So when I first opened it, I'll show you. When I first opened the application, it automatically took me here. And it didn't allow me to view this. So because I didn't have a license key. So this is backwards. So I got a little confused because I'm like, oh, I don't see any of that. All I see is this configuration screen, and like I have to put in this free license key, and I don't have that yet. And so then I went continue, and then it's like, okay, well, here's your license key, blah blah. So it's just backwards. So just gotta fix that. It's those details that can really throw off a user. Remember, attention span of a mosquito and 5 years old. 7-day period. Okay. UI to use. Yep. This is a good idea. It's interactive. That's cool. It's a little cheaper. I think it would be better if you do like an interactive, like on app kind of tutorial. Like I'll show you. This is something that I did that was a little bit kind of rudimentary, but I was messing with this. But see, I have this my application. It goes straight to my application when you go to the URL, and then it has this interactive tutorial that tells you what everything in the app does. And then I can skip it, and then I can start tour again if I want to go back. Select AI provider, save response, and then it shows you every part of the application, what everything is doing, and what it's all for. So I think that would be better, but this isn't bad. Oops. The control space, option space. The option space shortcut's very cool. I like that a lot. Cool. Hotkeys. Hotkey settings, okay. This was kind of cool. Hotkey settings. Yeah, those are kind of cool. It's a little bit, it's still like a nice to have. I feel like in the onboarding, that's cool, but it's not like the primary thing that I want here. So we'll move on from this. But from I don't know. Well, I want to start going to the actual interface. The interface is cool. I like that I can do just a quick shortcut wherever I am on my desktop at anything, and I could ask AI stuff. Easy. I can select all these models. It's clean. I can change my language pretty easily. I know to click this to move it. I can pin it. That's pretty nice. Um, yeah, this is nice. And then these are the power user items. They're off to the side, and it makes it really. It doesn't get in the way of the primary use of the software, which I do really like. It's something like, oh, what's that? Oh, maybe I'll mess with that. Oh, it's interesting. I can kind of look into it a little bit more. That's pretty good. Um, and it's very clean and uncluttered. Some improvements that I would make on this is the model selection. I'm a regular user, kind of like wanting to use this for the first time. I don't know why I want to use any of these because, like, it has Grok. I kind of have an idea of Grok. DeepSeek just seems like as far as I understand, like, I'm just a silly user. DeepSeek is like a ripoff of ChatGPT. I could just use these. I don't know why I want to use any one of these. So my point is that instead of having all these different models, you could potentially have like a well, instead of having all these different models, what should be happening is there should be 10 different models at most, and then it should have a subheader of why I want to use this model. What is this model best used for? And then that way I have a really simple way of kind of like looking through um, making the choice. I get too much choice fatigue from all of this. I have no idea, like, why is there a billion types of Quen or all these meta ones? I have no idea. If you had just 10 models with a subtext that said this is what this model is best at, then it's very easy. And then you could even have an expand section for, or like an advanced kind of button that shows you a list of all these supermodels if you want for power users. Um, the hotkey option is very cool. Kind of showed me how to do it and like translate to Italian as spoken in Italy, so I can go into like I don't know what this document is. Oh, okay. So this is just from something else. So my hotkey here is translate to Italian as spoken in Italy, and it's option command up. So if I do this, and then I do option command up, then I wait, it should do it. Boom. I heard a little notification, and it did it. And that's very cool. I like that. That is an extremely cool feature. That might need to be, I'll go into later about why that might not need to be the focus here. Um, but I almost think that's the primary value of this application is the actual hotkeys to do stuff like that. Um, and it really helps me because the main problem is copy and pasting. That's the biggest issue with AI stuff. People have been solving it with GitHub Copilot. That has been extremely helpful when I'm working on code. And I don't have to copy and paste. I can just automatically select a file and then ask about it. It's fantastic. And this big problem here is I got to go like this from this web page, open the thing, and then I got to go into my ChatGPT or whatever, and I got to paste it, and then or I gotta like do something like translate every time, translate this to Italian, and then I gotta do all this work and then do that and get an outcome and then copy the outcome and then paste it where I want it. So to be able to kind of like select something like this, hit a hotkey for it to automatically do a quick behavior that I'm gonna need to repeat over and over again, that is massive. That is like game changing. And I really think that needs to be a huge focus. That's a big problem and a really great solution. Um, okay, so in-app documentation. So basically, like when I kind of like I hover over these things, response language, that's good, but like training, like I see this kind of thing. I don't really I create new mind. I kind of don't really know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm wandering into the wild. It would be so much cooler if like in this area, like okay, so I have help. That's pretty good. And it takes me to this training. It would be better if there was like a video. This is the first time I'm actually noticing that help button. But it'd be cool if like right here there was just like train um, or or watch this demo video on how to do this, because I didn't really see this initially when I was initially going through this application. I did not see this help button. I was just kind of looking here. My eyes were going here, and I was like looking at this. And if it had like watch a demo right there or something, that would be really helpful. Um, yeah, I see. I don't even know what I'm doing here. So if there was some kind of like watch a demo everywhere, or if like I could hover over it and it said watch demo, or give a little blurb about what it kind of does, I suppose. Yeah, there needs to be like the question mark is fine, but it needs to be more. These are power user things, and as a regular user, I feel like I could probably get some use out of it, but I'm like, what is all this? I'm a little overwhelmed. And so if it had watch a demo button, like pretty big right here or noticeable, instead of just this little question mark, that would be pretty helpful. And then the question mark just takes me to these docs, which I would just really much rather watch a demo. I don't want to read through all these docs. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Even as an engineer, like I read through docs constantly all the time, and I'm just like, I do not want to read through more docs. So not bad, not bad. Could be a little bit better. And then I found out accidentally, if you click on that, it takes you to the docs. Um, so if you had maybe like, oops, maybe if there's like instead of saying AAAI, if it said AAAI documentation, that'd be helpful. Okay. So here's the big challenge with this application. So far, initial impressions was it was kind of all over the place. It didn't really give me a super clear problem statement and solution statement. So I sort of didn't really know why I was using this. I got the impression initially that what this did was that when I'm accessing this uh, anywhere in my application or anywhere on my computer, that I was going to be able to ask it about anything on my screen. I thought that was the value proposition, and maybe that is, but it doesn't seem to be working. So, like, tell me how many times the word experience is used on the documentation I'm on I'm on right now. And then it says it doesn't have the ability to access these external documents. So from these like no, you don't need integrations anymore. My impression is that anything I have on my screen, I just boom pull this baby up, and then I can ask it about anything I got on my screen, and it could do that. And that's why I needed to install it directly on my computer. So that would be really awesome. I really kind of wish it did that because I would probably pay for that. But I don't know. I've never made anything like that, like this. So I don't know how difficult that would be. But that would be awesome. I really wish it did that. And it doesn't, and I expected it to. And it's because there was no clear, concise problem solution statement that a 5-year-old could understand with an attention span of a mosquito on the landing page. When it comes to onboarding, there was some pretty significant barriers. With If we go to Slack.com, like we can see like Slack is your team's collective brain. That's like move faster, work smarter with people, apps, and AI at your side. Like it is really, it tells me exactly what it does. It tells me what it's solving. And then right when I go to get started, I'm just like, boom, I can sign in. It's like so simple, easy, concise. It's a very concise, like, um, they don't do the problem statement and solution statement, but they're like, they just give you what it does. Like, this is exactly, this is as simple as possible. This is what this thing is for. And that is pretty great. And that's what we need to shoot for. Like they're, they've probably spent they probably spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on people's salaries and weeks just to even come up with this slogan on the on the homepage. And you see, look at that, they've got a GIF right here showing you exactly what the main showing you exactly what the thing they want to feature is about the main functionality and the main thing it does. That's really great. So when it comes to onboarding, there's definitely some big hurdles. And then Slack also has, like, I get started, I can log in and boom, I can use Slack on the desk, on the browser. It would be kind of cool. I can use Slack right on the browser. I know it's maybe not really gonna work for this specific application, but if there was a way for me to use it as a browser extension first and then download it, that'd be really helpful. But I'm getting right into the application. I'm not going through all these hoops of like entering my email, doing this chat bot, all this kind of stuff, in order just to even get started. So a lot of hurdles there, but I do like the thought that was put into the chat bot. It's pretty easy to follow. A little bit was out of order, but that's not a big deal. I figured it out. Yeah, that's all I have to say about the onboarding. But the and one more thing I want to cover. Also, one more thing is that I didn't know, it wasn't clear that in order, so give me a function that prints hello world. Okay. Boom. So if I'm using ChatGPT, which this is kind of replacing, right? In my head, all I gotta do is say use JavaScript. And it doesn't have any context of what I just typed. It's always a new prompt. I didn't know that I have to actually go, where is it? Right here, in a chat mode. I had to click on chat mode and then write me a function that prints hello world. Now it works with context. So it's really important to gauge the app as close as possible to people's pre-existing patterns and pre-existing expectations of how things should work, or else people are not going to know how to use it. And it, like, I was messing around for like 10 minutes, like, why in the world do I not have any context? And I was looking at these buttons like, oh, chat mode, what is that? And then, oh, okay, that's how it keeps context of what I'm talking about. So the big lesson to learn here is things need to fit as well as possible to people's already pre-existing patterns. The best software is the software that's invisible to people, but the second best software is the stuff that already fits in easily to what they're already doing. And it needs to behave very similarly to things that they already have experience using. So everybody except maybe your grandma, maybe even everybody, probably even your grandma, has used ChatGPT. I know mine has. So they expect a certain way for these kinds of things to work. And so we got to get as close as possible to that and not make it cryptic, or else people are just not going to know what to do with it, and they're going to get bored and just be like, I'm just using ChatGPT. So at the end of the day, final verdict, it's a cool app. I think it has a lot of potential. The design's nice. It's very clean and concise. I love the I love the quick hotkey to pull it up. I love the hotkey functionality. If that was the main focus of what the app did, it's like I can set up all these predefined behaviors, and then whatever I'm working on, it automatically, I just hit a hotkey and it boom, it sends it to the application and then plugs it right into whatever I'm doing. That's killer. Love that. I love that the a lot of issues I see with applications is that the core functionality is often overshadowed by power user items. Um, a really great example is like Launch Darkly is an extremely powerful software, but if you just want to get a rollout out, you're really, really distracted from all of the other power user things that are available. But this one, instead of having that, they have the primary functionality front and center, and then right off to the side, they're like have all these really cool power user things. I really like that. It doesn't detract from the primary purpose, from what is supposed to be the primary purpose of the application, which is using an AI chatbot. Um, I think I love the role-based marketing approach. I love how it defines roles and then tells you why it's valuable for that specific role. I think that needs to be expounded upon and replace a lot of the things on the landing page. And I like the authentic reviews. The little thousands of people, blah, 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 with the little profile pictures looks fake. But those actual reviews, those look real. And that's really, really important. That social credit is huge. What needs huge work is problem solution. I don't. I had a really difficult time figuring out what this thing was supposed to be for, and I seem to have completely misunderstood what it was for. I thought it was, especially with the no more app, especially with the no app, especially with the no more app integration talk. I really thought the app was going to be for pulling it up with whatever app I'm using, and then it has direct access to anything that's on my screen, anything I'm using. It doesn't, and that is not the value proposition. And if it is, it's broken. So, not a clear problem solution. I don't really know why I need to use this. I'm probably not going to use it. If they do fix that or make it so it does that, I will definitely think about using this more and potentially buying it. Feature documentation, make it easy. Even as a professional software engineer, I don't want to look through more documentation. It's just more crap that I got to deal with. I want very simple demos of how to use this. And then for power user stuff, like to be able to look deeper into documentation, if I want to get the most out of it, that'd be pretty cool. But needing to review documentation in order to have a basic understanding of how things work is not something I want to put the time into, and I don't think most people do either. And that's basically it. I think hopefully you learn something from this. I think this application has a lot of I think this application has some promise. I think they could really make it into something extremely useful. I think they just need to get super concise about what they're actually trying to solve. And that is that. some reactions. My view is that the approach to building technology, which is embodied by move fast and break things, is exactly what we should not be doing. My view is that the approach to building technology, which is embodied by move fast and break things, is exactly what we should not be doing. I mean, like, I just think that's weird. I think, like, improving technology, you probably shouldn't break stuff. But the thing is that if you can break, the thing is if you can break stuff, that means it wasn't built very well. So maybe it is a good thing to move fast and break things, because that means if you are moving fast and breaking stuff of what you already built, that means it wasn't built well enough and it wasn't solid enough for you to not be able to break it or know that you broke it before it ever went to production. And you should have a really good CI/CD testing workflow to make sure that no mistakes do make it to production. So your software should be solid enough that if it breaks, or you can break it by changing something quickly, that without knowing it and it makes it in production, then you should really look back on how you built things previously. In a system, backend gets more iteration deployment than front end. Before front end deployment, there's up to 10 backend deployments. This guy says backend changes are usually smaller and safer, easier to roll back. Yeah, the thing is that with backend stuff, there's one way to interact with it, or a handful of very specific ways to be able to interact with the data, or request the data, or update the data. On the front end, you're dealing with a person, and people are you can test for everything, but somebody's going to do something in a way that nobody expected and could potentially break it. So it takes a lot more code to build user experiences, and it takes a lot more review, and it does take more time. This guy says, I've been building apps for 3 months, websites for 6 years. Only these past 2 weeks have I started learning HTML, CSS, JS. Am I cooked or am I cooking? I mean, you haven't been building apps, really. Not web apps. You need to know JavaScript in order to build web apps. But the thing is like if you're learning, you're learning. And that's kind of all that matters, right? So you just got to keep going if you're in this situation. If you only know how to build like Shopify apps or anything like that, you're going to be a little bit limited. JavaScript is just, it's crazy how it could just be used for everything. It can even be used to make 3D stuff now. It's bananas. Coding is dead, engineering is not. If you knew React in 2020, you were set. Companies threw money at you. 2026, still writing buttons and fetching manually, you won't survive. AI writes code faster. Tutorial hell won't save you. Code is cheap, engineering is expensive. The thing is, I think there's some truth to that. I think the idea of somebody being valuable because they're good at writing algorithms is pretty much done. But it does really take experience of doing the hard dealing with code stuff in order to be able to manage AI outputs properly and to be able to direct them properly. And what the reality is that we're not replacing coding. The thing is that we're just replacing the junior engineers and the associate engineers soon. And that means you require senior engineers and you require principal and up. The only way they became like that is because they went through all the struggle and difficulty of debugging and dealing with problems, and now they have the experience to be able to build systems that don't run into those problems. So I think learning the things you need to learn is going to be faster, but it is going to require a similar level of experience dealing with problems that it took to become a senior engineer in order to be successful in the future. A hard truth for new web devs: React won't fix weak JavaScript, but strong JavaScript will make React easily. Choose wisely. AI won't fix a bad programmer, but a good programmer will make AI easy. That's something to really consider. The experience is going to be necessary. You need to have people on the team that can manage the outputs, manage the direction, and debug outputs. If not, it's just going to be bad. So, yeah. this guy. I haven't watched this guy. Y'all feel like you're learning something from watching live coding streaming? I've watched some live coding stuff, and it is sometimes helpful, especially if you do take the time to, especially if it's a product, especially if it's a project, a predefined project. Like for instance, we're making an Uber clone today, or we're making a Yelp clone today, and you take the time to follow along. They have project files. If you actually do the work, then it is really good learning. I've learned a lot from some of these. But if you're just sitting there watching it, it's on the background, maybe you'll pick up tidbits here and there, like some little bits of wisdom. But at the end of the day, that does end up becoming entertainment. This Next.js routing. /@ folders create routes, prefix blank, use blank to group organization, dynamic ID. These kinds of things are exactly why you need experienced engineers on a team. You can't just live with vibe coding and have it something be sustainable. Because with something with like Next.js, the whole thing is about performance and ease of deployment and all these things. So you're gonna an experienced engineer is the one that's going to know why you do all these things and how to set them up well and properly so that you get all the benefits from it. And that's how you create sustainable software. MVP stuff that's just like got like a cool little thing, fine. You don't need Next.js. You can use React, you can use vanilla JavaScript just fine. But to be able to utilize really powerful frameworks to create a application that has a long lifespan and can be updated extremely quickly and safely, you need experience on your side. Be honest, when was the last time you coded without AI? Bro, I don't know a single serious engineer that codes without AI. I think it's like a huge waste of time. We have the experience, so we know how to manage it well. And a lot of us are getting into setting up instruction files so that we could even tell it to code in our style that we like, in our architecture that we like or we need. There's just like, you do as an experienced engineer, you got to use it. If you're not using it, you're just wasting time. you, pal. Your channel blows. Mine is better. I hope it is, bud. What a goof. If you could only check one thing to figure out how good a dev is, what would you pick? GitHub or side projects, live tech interview, former client reviews? It's a really good question. Live tech review is out, I think. Live tech interview? I guess that's not out. No, live tech interview is out. I don't think that's indicative of how well an engineer works at all. GitHub or side projects, not the GitHub squares. GitHub squares mean nothing to me. Side projects are really, really good indication of how effective an engineer is, and being able to review the code, see how they work, see how they think. Does it make sense? Like, at the end of the day, what do I want from an engineer? I don't want an engineer to be there on a Zoom meeting and have them make me a feature. That's not what I'm hiring an engineer for. I'm not hiring an engineer to just make random updates or quick little updates for stuff for a billion 1-point tickets or anything like that. Maybe you are. I'm not hiring an engineer to make little tiny updates. We have stories and we have full features that we need updated. I don't really care if I'm in a sprint or something like that. I don't care what your commits are. Like, in the real world, I'm not looking at your commits. I'm looking at your PRs. So the GitHub that you have the squares doesn't work in the actual real job. Live tech interview, I'm not hiring for that situation, and you're not going to be in that situation. So why would I use that to test how good they are? That's ridiculous. Side projects and former client reviews, those are really good. Former client reviews, that's a little bit more like how that might be the most indicative, because if you are able to sell yourself to other people, you can sell your ability to solve problems, and people have really good things to say about how you solve their problem, that means you're going to work really well in my software team. Side projects, I think former client reviews is going to be number one, because that tells me you're really good at working with people, you're really good at sniffing out problems, you're really good at solving the problems, and you're really good at follow-up. And that's, especially with AI, that's going to be like probably some of the biggest things on software teams now. Side projects is second. That means that you have an interest, you're continuing to grow and learn, and you are always looking for more problems to solve. And that's going to be big too. And then live tech interview, I don't know why those exist. I think those are ridiculous. It doesn't line up to anything that's ever going to happen in the job. Unless the job is literally to be in a meeting and be able to live kind of vibe code and work with the vibe code so that the designers and stakeholders get a really clear idea of, they can see a sort of kind of working version of what they're thinking and be able to give feedback on that. That's a position, that makes sense. But live tech interviews, it doesn't make any sense. I want to see who this guy is now. Professor Bob Testicles. He doesn't have any content on his channel. That's funny. What a goofball. Okay. See what kind of baloney LinkedIn has for us today. Predictions about AI and work in 2026. AI will know you better than your manager. Workplace AI will know you better than your manager. As a manager, limited view of how work actually gets done. I see the final doc meeting or missed or met deadline, but not the 10 interruptions, the unclear handoff, or a moment someone got stuck and didn't ask for help. AI can fill in those gaps. Having those invisible implementations of AI agents is going to be absolutely massive for companies so that they can have a much clearer picture of what's going on and they don't have to micromanage. So the employer and the employees are going to get a huge benefit from it because they're going to have to know, like, why would you have a daily stand up every morning if you can have an AI report on what was worked on? Doesn't make any sense. You just have a really clear, concise AI report of what everybody on the team worked on, and it takes you 5 minutes to review. You don't have to take any notes. You can just, people just Slack you or whatever when they need help or when they're stuck on something. But the more AI agents get implemented to workplace, like, it can be potentially dangerous. But thing is that these small agents that do these invisible jobs that make everybody's lives better at work, managers and employees, that's where the real impact for this technology is going to happen. Toast. Oof, this is bad. Look how terrible this picture is. Yikes. barrier to entry is not coding anymore, it's showing your face. Short form content is more important. I think it's a really cool development with kind of taking the wand out of the wizard's hand a little bit and standardizing the wand, because it's going to make the ability to create and maintain relationships effectively so much more important when it comes to software. And it's going to make serving people human to human a lot more important. And that's kind of one of those things where AI is actually freeing us to do the thing that makes us human. Kind of neat. Ooh, that's a bad sign. Hired 19 new team members in my org. Want to hire another 19 in Q1. That's a horrible sign. I would never ever join a company like that unless it's a major enterprise company that has like thousands of employees. That's a horrible, horrible sign. That means they just got funded and the managers of the fund are pressuring them to spend the money. So I wouldn't I would never ever do that. Ever. 10 PMs. 5 product designers. Dude, why? This stinks so bad of somebody that just got a boatload of funding and they're just like, we got to spend this money. And this is one of those things where I'd be willing to bet you, it'd be interesting to kind of check in on this again, but maybe like a few years down the line, I'd be willing to bet you this is one of those situations where they one of those situations where they grow extremely fast and then they don't hit the numbers that they need to, but that their board wants to see, and then they just do huge layoffs. Big companies do this all the time. Let's look at Headway. 500 to 1,000 employees. Okay. That seems fine. That seems like somewhat reasonable, I suppose. Yeah, I guess 219,000 followers. Okay, I guess I can see that. Still, 500 employees. Yeah, I guess I can see that. Never mind. I'm a dumbass.
That's funny. This guy got this totally wrong. This dude just had this like whole long thing about. I mean, this whole long thing can be summed up in doesn't matter how much experience you have, you should be coding on the weekends. Like, I mean, I agree. I do. Like, I think jobs you're kind of put in a box, especially if you work at enterprise. You're put in a pretty small box a lot of times, and you have experience with one area, and you need to be able to become competent in a lot of different things, and the only way to do that is by having your own side projects, and the only way to grow into more competency requiring roles, you need to have this experience, and the only way to get it usually effectively is by side projects that you do on the weekend. I get it, but man, is that a long that is one heck of a post, bro. And the picture is like doesn't make any sense either. That's kind of funny. The damage you don't see is what mattered. That's not what this picture shows. Anybody that knows this picture knows that the picture, what the engineers initially tried to do was they tried to reinforce the places that got hit. They focused their reinforcement and their weight on these bullet holes areas because they were like, these are getting hit more, and so we probably need to reinforce these. The actual story is that what they should have done is they should have made reinforcements to the places that didn't get hit, because the places that did get hit are the places that could get hit without the airplane going down. But the places that didn't get hit, then those places were potentially vulnerable to gunshots and potentially make the plane fail. So this doesn't matter. I mean, this doesn't make any sense. I don't know how this even fits with coding on the weekends. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm a dork. This is interesting. So, 99% of the competition by show up early, praying that before, same mistake twice. And this guy says the bar is shockingly low. You can build a career just by being the person who actually replies to emails and shows up on time. There's one thing that they're really missing at this, and something that's taken me a lot of years to learn: consistency and patience. If you can do these things consistently and have the patience to do it over time without seeing immediate gratification from these things, that is how you beat everybody, because nobody wants to stay consistent, because being consistent is the hardest thing. That's why people have trouble losing weight. It's not because of any, generally, usually it's not because of hormonal imbalance or anything like that. It's more often than not, it's just calories in and calories out. It's very simple. It is so tough to be consistent. Like, I have massive problems being consistent with that sometimes. And so I gain weight over time. But it burning yourself out, like, you should definitely have seasons of hard work and seasons of maybe pulling back the gas pedal so you don't overdo it. But like, how long can, and he said, Hermosi says this all the time too. It's like, yeah, you do all these things, no opportunities that don't bring value to your life, follow up quickly, blah, blah, blah. And then being the person that actually replies to emails. Yeah. If you do that for like 2 months, you're going to get nothing out of it. That's not the bar. The bar isn't to be like, show up for a month like this and then you win. The bar is that nobody is consistent about these things. So if you can do all these things and be consistent, then you start to grow. Yeah, I'll follow Gary. Why not? Jimmy Donaldson. Yeah, I'll follow Jim. Jim, like I know him. Stephen Bartlett. Yeah, I follow him. I like his Diary of a CEO podcast. Love the pod, dude. That's him, right? Oh, yeah. That's disgusting. I don't know why anybody wants to see that shit. Okay, I'm bored. Done for today.